Hello, all my relations. This is George Shears. I'm a retired psychologist living in the boonies of northern Minnesota, which is where I also grew up in a very idyllic situation in the even wilder part of Minnesota at that time. And I was immersed in Mother Nature right from the get-go, and I look back in those years as absolutely enchanting. And I think that that experience left me with a very, very warm spot in my heart for Mother Nature. And when I retired after living in the cities for a good many years, I couldn't wait to get back to my roots. And no big surprise then, I have very, very deep concern about the predicament that we humans have gotten ourselves into, along with all the rest of life on planet Earth. And I'm particularly and very urgently concerned about global climate change and what's known as the Sixth Great Extinction. And sadly, I've been seeing the effects of both of those here where I live. And so I have chosen to compose this very urgent song that I would like to share with all of you here. But before doing so, I'd like to give you a little bit of background to the song. I originally composed the music to this song way back in 2002 at the time of my grandson Ethan's 4th birthday. At that time, he received a little rat as a dearly beloved pet, and the song was originally about that rat. Okay, so now fast forward to December 21st, 2021, 4 o'clock in the morning. I suddenly woke up with a very compelling, what I call a tap on the shoulder from what I regard as my inner guide. And it came in the form of a sudden realization, namely that I could easily repurpose this song and make it into an urgent message to all humankind. And that is precisely what I then spent 3 hours at my computer, and it was as if the lyrics to this song just wrote themselves. I've never had an easier time writing the lyrics of a song. So that's the background of the song. And now I'd like to also offer, first of all, a trigger warning. In recognition of the incredible pain and fear and deprivation, grief that we've all been through in the last 2 years, I have no difficulty imagining that there's some of you folks out there have really had your fill of pain. And if that's the case, it may well be that this song, which is, I have to tell you, is pretty hard-hitting, and you may find that this is too much. And if so, I urge you to give yourself full permission to opt out of it. You might come back, listen to it, watch it another time, but it might not fit for you now. And then secondly, I'd like to offer a bit of a spoiler alert, because as hard-hitting as this song is, I intend for it to end up in on a very positive note. And if you're at all familiar with the famous movie The Matrix, you might recognize that the key message in this song video is consistent with what is called taking the red pill in The Matrix. That is, to consciously opt out of all the pervasive habitual programming conditioning that all of us humans have been immersed in, and which I'm afraid hasn't served us very well. And to wake up into a very different perspective. As I see it, we've all been locked into a decidedly human-centric perspective, and that perspective has gotten us into very deep weeds and has done incredible destruction to Mother Earth. The alternative perspective that I am offering here can be called a life-centered perspective, which recognizes that we are indeed seamlessly one with all life on this planet. And instead of identifying ourselves as somehow isolated, separate from that, we opt into recognizing realistically, kindly, and compassionately that we are all life, and thereby commit ourselves to a very different path. Finally, I composed this song originally in the key of A minor, and I'm something of a duffer playing the ukulele, but unfortunately I don't know any of the chords in A minor that fit with this song. So since I'd like to get it out in time for the holidays, I'm going to sing it a cappella here. Maybe some point in the future I'll get somebody to accompany me on the piano or something. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So here we go. Oh, one more point. You know, I'm 86 years old, and my memory circuits have gotten a bit leaky. So I've created some cheat sheets, so to speak, to make sure that I don't stray from the intended lyrics too much. So here we go. Once upon a time there was a nation state in a terrible, horrible mess. It had been taken over by a demagogue whose name I'll let you guess. It had fallen into a deep black hole that was cold and dark and wet. And some cynics proclaimed that as bad as things are, we ain't seen nothing yet. So, what will happen to its people, do you think? Do you think they'll laugh or cry? Will their sad fate get better, or will it get much worse? Do you think they'll live or die? Will they rally together as they have in the past and learn new ways to cope? Do you think this is just another bump in their road? Or are they at the end of their rope? Fake news and lies in an endless flood came raining from above, while greed and hatred, like a very toxic gas, had poisoned the waters of love. Many kept their heads very deep in the sand through addiction of every form. Their belief in separation and collecting stuff had long since become their only norm. So, what will happen to these people, do you think? Do you think they'll laugh or cry? Will their sad fate get better, or will it get much worse? Do you think they'll live or die? Will they rally together as they have in the past? Do you think, and find new ways to cope? Do you think that this is just another bump in their road? Or are they at the end of their rope? Now you may think that I'm just a prophet of doom who cruelly aims to add to our pain. You may think that fear and hatred are our fatal flaws, and that this song is just in vain. Be that as it may, I still make the bold claim that we can wake up and see the light. We can clearly see that all life is one, and with that vision end our plight. So, what will happen to us people? Do you think? Do you think we'll laugh or cry? Do you think our sad fate'll get better or will it get much worse? Do you think we'll live or die? Will we rally together as we have in the past? Will we find new ways to cope? Do you think this is just another bump in our road? Or are we at the end of our rope? They chose a new leader, a kindly gentleman, who promised to end their woes, and he's done his very best to follow through with his plan, through harsh headwinds that arose. Mother Nature has now made it very, very clear that we humans aren't running this show, and we now have the option to awaken to the truth that we're completely one in her flow. So, what will happen to us people, do you think? Do you think we'll laugh or cry? Will our sad fate get better or will it get much worse? Do you think we'll live or die? Will we rally together as we have in the past and learn new ways to cope? Do you think this is just another bump in our road? Or are we at the end of our rope? As endless wise sages have told us in the past, deep love is our magic key. It's the force that binds us as a single whole and thereby sets us free. Now, as always then, we're offered this choice to accept that all life is one, and we can love all our relations as our deepest self, and become just like our ever-loving Son. So, what will happen to us people, do you think? Do you think we'll laugh or cry? Will our sad fate get better or will it get much worse? Do you think we'll live or die? Will we rally together as we have in the past and learn new ways to cope? Do you think that this is just another bump in our road? Or are we at the end of our road? May we all open our hearts fully to answer this very poignant question with deep, loving compassion. And may we all have a most joyous Christmas and a truly happy and sustainable New Year. Namaste.